So teens who, for various reasons, whether it's not wanting to stand out, whether it's just bristling against adults at a time of independence, are, refuse to participate in any kind of training intervention that parents have tried so far. Do you have any suggestions for parents who have tried and are frustrated but motivated to, achieve the best for their kids?
Yeah, that's certainly a challenging question. I'm not surprised it was a common one. I would go back just to a couple things I've alluded to. First, managing your own expectations. If they refuse, then there's nothing you can do to get them to engage and go forward. And you're probably going to cost a lot in terms of relationship points in your efforts to do that. Looking for alternatives, looking for ways to get engagement, but respecting their ability to make their choice is a lot of times what you're left with. Again, realizing too that it's a long-term battle that you're going to be in. So if after 3 months you've respected their decision and they still don't want to do it, you may have an opportunity then, and they may be less defensive then about participating. So I don't have a good answer for that one, other than it has a lot to do with a lot of detailed relationship issues, things that we didn't have time to go into.
Right. I did find it fascinating that you started out the conversation today talking about the disorganized thinking and that inability to see patterns. And it seems like, at least in my experience personally, that is kind of the root of a lot of it. If you're not recognizing that, for example, being late for school every day is a predictable outcome of behaviors that have not changed,
Yes.
then you're not motivated to change those behaviors. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yeah, exactly. The achieving timeliness is a function of recognizing patterns, being able to create your own patterns or system of organizing time and adhering to it. And it even involves planning and organizing your time given that sometimes unexpected things come up. So how does that impact how you organize your time? And again, it's that kind of connecting the dots and replicating patterns and building patterns into your life that I was referring to.
Right. And so I will delve into the number one challenge. That was planning and problem solving. And your example of homework really hit a nerve here. And a number of people asking, okay, if they do get their child to, or their teen to agree to this methodology, there's a lot of ways that they can skirt actually doing the work. How should we be checking work? Should we be making sure that they're not veering off of Google Classroom to play Minecraft? Should we, kind of have some amount of hover on this?
Yeah, first of all, you said if you can get them to agree. There's a lot of approaches to setting this up, and it really depends on the parent-child relationship. On one hand, to the degree that you have control over evening activities, even access to their mobile phone or to games or to whatever it is they enjoy doing, they don't need to agree because you want to initially set up the contract as a collaborative thing, and that's the way we map it out. But I'm pointing out there are a variety of ways to get to that agreement point. Some of them are more heavy-handed, and some of them are very collaborative. Yes, you do want to monitor to some degree because you're right, they can have a screen open, another screen open that they're really attending to while they keep their Google Classroom open on the main screen. So you do need to monitor, you do need to add time if they're not doing it. However, what you don't want to do and where most of the battles occur is, your 30 minutes ended, but you didn't finish that math page. So go back and finish that math page because that's due tomorrow. You need to be able to let that go. You need to be able to remember that the goal is they do their 30 minutes. And if that, to whatever degree of monitoring is necessary, that you can be confident they're doing 30 minutes of schoolwork, and 30 minutes is somewhat arbitrary. It could be 20 minutes. I've had talked to families who start with 15, which they say, 15, he's in 8th grade, that'll never be enough. Yeah, but it's 15 more minutes than what he's been doing for the past 3 years. So it's a starting point. Remember, the goal is not to win the day, it's to win the year. And if we can get some success at 15, then we can go up. What we find over time when these plans can be implemented successfully is they make significant improvements in doing their homework. If that's all they have to do is schoolwork for 30 minutes, they don't want to waste their time on dumb things you give them. They are going to do more time on the school tasks. It's not perfect, but again, manage your expectations. There's no homework program that's going to cure them of this problem. You want to move them in the right direction, respect their autonomy of how they spend their time, realize you're not going to know what's really due and when it's due and what they have to study for. So you're focusing on controlling those things that you can control and not getting into battles over things that you can't.
Okay, that's a very helpful reminder. The homework example was so helpful. I wonder if you could offer us some specifics on a similar sort of training intervention in the social realm. So
Sure.
that social, yeah, thank you.
So the social one gets kind of complicated, as you might expect, because getting a task done is much more straightforward than getting along with people, which is quite nuanced. But I'll give you a brief overview of the interpersonal skills group, which is the training intervention for peer relationships. And it involves a few things. And one of the things that adolescents are normally doing anyway, as a part of adolescent development, is figuring out how they want to be perceived by others. So, you want to be seen as athletic, as helpful, as tough, as smart, as whatever. And we work with middle school and high school kids initially to help come up with 2 or 3 terms that I label what it is, how it is they're trying to be perceived. And we refer to that as an ideal self. How would you want others to think of you? And then we talk about what behaviors do you need to exhibit in order for people to perceive you that way. And we actually get concrete and make lists. And then we observe the teens in informal social situations that afterwards we give them feedback about, and they tell us, how do you think you did with exhibiting behaviors that led to you being perceived as kind? And we go through the list of things we came up with. And did you do this? Did you do that? I saw you do this once. And we look at how they did, and then we send them back into that social activity. The idea is those are reps they're getting, interacting with peers, trying to exhibit behaviors that are consistent with how they want to be seen by others. It gets complicated, but 12, 13-year-old kids with training and with practice can get it. And that's an aspect of social functioning that many people pick up normally. I want people to see me as smart, as friendly, as whatever. So these are the behaviors I do. That requires a degree of organized thinking that most teens with ADHD don't have and haven't thought of and haven't thought through. And by making it concrete, This is the our latest study with high school students with ADHD showed the biggest effects on social functioning of any treatment that's out there for teens with ADHD. And it takes time, it takes persistence, and it takes a lot of performance feedback. And it is a bit on the complicated side, but so is social behavior. So I don't think there's any getting around it.
Okay, very helpful. Dr. Evans, just as a quick follow up on that one, is there a place where parents can go to learn more about support for that kind of social skills intervention training?
I believe there's information about it in that book on the previous slide.
Perfect. Perfect. So we'll make that available to everyone who's listening. Fear not, you will receive not only a link to replay this full webinar and share it, but also a link to the slides, and that will include that QR code to download the resource that Dr. Evans just mentioned. So unfortunately, we have run out of time. Dr. Evans, thank you so much for joining us today and for contributing your research and your insights to our ADHD community.